Mike here from Bikes by Mike with another cycling related video. Today is Bike Bling Day. I'll show you how to detail your bike like a professional. You'll restore that new bike look and keep it looking great for months. Notice I didn't say polishing or waxing. If all you're doing is polishing, you're destroying the paint finish. And if you're waxing, you're using tech that went out of style 20 years ago. Okay, let's get to it. In today's video, I'll start off by explaining the various protective layers that you'll find on a typical bike frame. I'll then share with you my 6 golden rules for detailing your bike. Basically, the key do's and don'ts everyone needs to know. I'll then go over the tools and supplies you'll need for the job. I'll guide you through my 4-step process of caring for your bike, starting with step 1, which is washing. Step 2, prep and polish. Step 3, protecting. And the final optional step is applying a drying agent. Before I get started, I want to quickly explain what is on or may be missing from your bike frame finish, as this will pretty much guarantee why your bike looks good or why it looks like crap. Assuming your frame is painted, you'll have at least 2 permanent layers on it, a layer or 2 of paint as well as a clear coat. These are the layers you want to protect with your life because they are not easily fixed if damaged. Any layers placed on top of these are basically sacrificial layers. Yes, they can improve the look of your paint finish, but their most important job is to provide protection to the really important layers underneath. Some products last a few weeks and others, like high-quality graphene coatings, can last many, many years. But all of them will eventually wear off and need to be reapplied to establish their protective properties. If all you're doing is washing and drying your bike, you've got nothing added to your bike to prevent your painted frame from damage due to UV rays and road and trail debris. In addition to the premium car wash soap I've used to clean my bike beforehand, I'm using 3 different products which do 3 completely different things. I'm using Lithium itch batter, which is an abrasive polish to restore a smooth finish to a worn clear coat. Next, I'll apply Ceramic Slam, which is a ceramic spray finish and serves as my main protective layer. And my last layer is Ignite After Wash, which will protect my ceramic layer from damage caused by the washing and drying cycles of bike cleaning. All 3 products are different and all of them are designed to protect the layer that is immediately underneath it. I need to cover off my 6 golden rules to getting the best looking and longest lasting paint finish on your bike. That's because the approach I'll be showing you today is guided by these really important rules. Did I emphasize important enough? So let's knock these off quickly so we can get to the fun demo part. Rule number 1 is don't use bike-specific cleaners, polishes, and protectants. Look to automotive products. Yes, I've used bike-branded products in the past, but I've smartened up over the years. Some of them, like Silka products, are quite good, but a lot of them, most of them, suck. Or they are overpriced. How you go about making a bike look beautiful is exactly the same as with automobiles. They both have painted surfaces exposed to the elements, and there is way more money going into R&D to make products for automotive detailing than for bikes. Actually, I suspect almost every bike accessory company is simply repackaging an automotive product, slapping their brand label on it, and upcharging the customer. Rule number 2 is don't overuse polishes. Polishes are not the same as protectants such as waxes. Polishes are designed to remove clear coat damage and to flatten the surface to make the finish more glossy. That is why matte finishes are not glossy, because the clear coat isn't flat. And while polishes are not as abrasive as cutting compounds, they are still attacking the clear coat finish. And for that reason, you don't want to be using them all the time and when unnecessary. Rule number 3 is don't use wax. Well, you can, but only over a better protectant like a ceramic coating or ceramic spray, like I'll be using today. Yes, waxes will create a water-repelling barrier and make your paint shine, but they are not long-lasting and inferior to ceramic coatings in many ways. Rule number 4 is don't cheap out. The least expensive bike and automotive care products simply don't work that great and don't last. I'm using products by Lithium Auto Care. While not cheap, they also are nowhere near the cost of the most expensive detailing products. As a general rule, you get what you pay for here. For me, the Lithium line of products strikes a nice balance. They aren't super expensive, yet still perform way better than the cheap bike-specific lines. Rule number 5 is to protect your bike components from overspray. While a good quality soap is safe to use on most bike components, when it comes to almost all the polishes, protectants, and toppers, such as waxes, you don't want any of them coming into contact with brake rotors and brake pads. If they do, you're almost guaranteed to have squeaky brakes, poor performing brakes, or both. My final rule number 6 is to use PPF or paint protective film when your bike frame needs the absolute maximum amount of protection. This comes in handy for mountain bikes and gravel bikes where ceramic coating by itself isn't enough to protect your bike from road and trail debris, such as stones and wood chips. I've done a whole video covering the benefits of PPFs and how to apply them to a bike frame. So if you haven't seen it, you may want to check it out. Link in the description. Okay, with my rules out of the way, it's now time to demo my 4-step process for keeping your bike looking like new. Let's start with the tools and supplies you'll need for the job. Some of these tools and supplies you can get away with without using, but if you want to do this the right way and to get the best results, you pretty much need all of them. For washing your bike, you'll need a collection of different size brushes. The more, the better. Just make sure you don't use super coarse bristle brushes on delicate finishes like your bike frame. Soft microfiber brushes and washing mitts are a better way to go. You'll need an appropriate soap, which is not a dish soap. There are a lot of good options out there. I'm using Lithium Double Tap Infused car wash soap, which is specifically designed not to strip off the protective layer on your bike and to hydrate the cleaned surface. Both are essential for a good soap, which are qualities you won't find in a dish soap. If, like me, your bike is starting to reveal swirl marks, which is a sign of clear coat damage, you'll need to use a compound or polish to restore a flat, clear coat finish. I'll be using Lithium Itch Batter, which is specifically formulated to remove small scratches and swirl marks. Next, you'll need your protective ceramic or graphene coating. I'm using Lithium Ceramic Slam, which is a spray-on protector. If you want to extend the life of your ceramic finish and keep it looking great for many washings, I suggest using a drying agent as your topper. I'm using Lithium Ignite After Wash. For all these steps, you'll need a lot of microfiber rags for both applying the various products, removing the excess, and buffing the surface. And since some of these additives in these products are less than healthy, it's a good idea to use rubber or latex gloves. You'll find a dummy hub is very handy to keep your chain in place when your rear wheel is removed. This will also prevent your chain from resting against your chainstay, which will just make it a lot easier to work on your bike. And lastly, you'll need something to cover and protect your brake rotors and pads. I like using Glad Press and Seal plastic wrap, but anything will do. Step number 1 is to thoroughly wash and dry your bike. Any dirt, oil, or grit not removed from your bike at this point will degrade the quality of the final finish and has the potential to damage your paint finish when completing subsequent steps. So spend the time to clean your bike properly. I've already washed and dried my bike, so I won't demo it here. Plus, I've already covered this off in my winter bike washing video, so check it out if you haven't seen it. I'm using Double Tap Infused car wash produced by Lithium Auto Care, which is very good, but use whatever you like. And make sure it's a quality soap and never use regular dish soap. You're spending a lot of time and money to put a nice protective finish on your bike, so there's no point destroying it with your first wash. If you haven't already prepped your bike for washing, you absolutely need to do the following before going any further. Remove both wheels from your frame and set them aside. You absolutely do not want any of the polishes and protectants making contact with your brake components. So you need to completely cover your brake components with a rag, plastic baggie, or something to keep overspray from hitting the brake surface. I like using Glad Press and Seal plastic wrap for this, as it's easy to apply and stays in place nicely. So I'll make sure to cover each of my 2 rotors since I'll be working on my wheels as well as my frame. After the wheels are taken care of, I'll cover my 2 front and rear brake calipers. Again, make sure they are wrapped really well so nothing touches the brake pads. You may want to remove the pads entirely if you're worried about contamination. One last thing, if you have one, it's a good idea to install a dummy hub to lift your chain away from your frame. Or you could just remove your chain altogether. Step number 2 is to prep and polish your frame and wheels. This is a really important part of the process because its purpose is to restore your clear coat, to remove scratches and swirls and oxidation damage that occurs over time. So there's no point putting on a finishing protective coat if you haven't taken care of the underlying paint. Now, a really common problem with any paint job on a bike or car is those ugly swirl marks that can form really quickly and really easily. The root cause is typically one of the following. 1, you're using a poor quality protective coating. 2, your protective coating has worn off, exposing your clear coat to damage. Or 3, you're not washing and drying your bike correctly. It's hard to see in this video, but my bike is less than 2 years old and already has small swirl marks starting to form. That's because I've used cheap products on it in the past and have taken some shortcuts. I'm going to care for it properly today to avoid this type of damage in the future. So I'll show you how to properly care for your lovely, lovable, your bike. So I need to remove the swirl marks and fix the damage I've done to the clear coat. There are a ton of polishes you can choose from, but since I really want to use Lithium Ceramic Slam as my protective layer, I've decided to go with another Lithium product, Itch Batter, which is specifically designed to remove swirl marks. Plus, whenever possible, I like to stay within the same family of products. It's not essential, but it's a good way to make sure each of them play nice together. Look, I'm not sponsored by Lithium. I paid full price for all their products, so this is just me talking. I'm just trying to do whatever I can not to mess this up. So I'll put a small dab of itch batter on a microfiber towel and apply it in a circular motion, working one small area of the frame at a time. True polishing compounds will be a bit abrasive, as it is these abrasive particles that very slightly grind down the clear coat to a smooth and flat surface, restoring a perfect shine. Once you have worked it in for a bit of time, you can now take a clean cloth and buff it clean. Now take a close look at the surface to see if the swirl marks are all removed. It may be necessary to do 1 or 2 more applications to get them all out. This is how my frame looked after 2 applications with itch batter. Every scratch and swirl mark is now gone. Lithium itch batter is the best polishing compound I've tried, so it will deliver great results. But like any polishing compound, it can only do so much. If you have scratches deep enough to catch a fingernail on, especially ones that cut through the clear coat into the paint, no polishing compound is going to fix that on its own. You need to use a much more complicated restoration process for that. My clear coat is now restored, so I'm good to move on to our next step. Now that your bike is clean and your clear coat restored, you want to apply some type of protection. One product you do not want to use as your protective layer is a wax, whether that's a spray-on type or a paste. It simply isn't strong enough and doesn't last long enough to give you great protection. If you really want to use wax, use it after your protective layer, not as a protective layer. What some call a topper, which is essentially your outermost layer to add shine, a bit of protection, and to lubricate the surface. It's essentially your outermost sacrificial layer. In step 4, I add my own topper, but it's not a wax, it's a drying agent, which I think is a better solution. So now we agree that wax is not to be used as a protective layer. We agree on that, right? What are our options? For most of us, we'll want to go with a ceramic coating, either silicon dioxide or graphene. Yes, graphene is the newest and greatest out there, and it generally performs better and lasts longer than silicon dioxide, but it is very expensive and the good ones are tricky to apply. So for most of us, we'll want to choose either a ceramic coating or a ceramic spray. These are very similar products in many ways. Which you choose will depend on a few factors, like how much you want to spend, how often you want to reapply it, and how much effort you want to put into applying it. You can see that generally ceramic sprays have much less silicon dioxide than ceramic coatings, and they're also water-based instead of solvent-based formulas you'll find in coatings. Both these qualities result in ceramic coatings performing a little bit better than sprays. They last longer, provide more protection, have a bit more gloss to them, and shed water better. All this means that coatings will set you back further than sprays. Your typical ceramic spray costs less than $50 a bottle Canadian, while a ceramic coating providing similar coverage will set you back over $100. Your average consumer will go with a spray simply because it's easier to apply. That's why I'm doing it. But if you're paying a professional detailer to do this for you, they typically will work with coatings. The reason I went with Lithium Ceramic Slam is because it's known to have a very high silicon dioxide content compared to other sprays. While manufacturers rarely quote the amount of active ingredients in their ceramic products, rumors are that Lithium adds 36% silicon dioxide to their ceramic slam, which is incredibly high. And Google AI says so, so it must be true. Plus, ceramic slam is more expensive than most ceramic sprays, so it's reasonable to expect it to be a better made product. Up until last month, I was using Meguiar's hybrid ceramic wax on all my bikes, which is about a quarter the price of ceramic slam. But having used both, I can tell you that Meguiar's simply doesn't perform nearly as well, and doesn't give you as nice of a shine. So when it comes to ceramic protectants, you generally get what you pay for. The instructions for applying ceramic slam are dead simple. Spray it on, buff it off, let it cure, repeat. So that's what I'll do. Working one section of the frame at a time, spray on the ceramic coating. Less is more here, as too much spray can cause streaks. Spread it evenly around with a microfiber cloth, making sure you get complete coverage. If you're planning to do multiple coats, you don't have to be as careful missing small nooks and crannies, as you'll hit them on the next pass. Now wait 5 minutes for it to set. After 5 minutes, you can then use the dry side of a microfiber cloth to buff it out to a nice shine. Now I'll follow the same process to cleat the rest of my bike. Let's chat about your options for the next step. You can simply move on to step number 4, applying a topper, or you can apply additional coats the exact same way as I'm doing here. Ceramic slam and most other ceramic sprays can be layered and should be layered. Yes, it'll look great after just one coat, but each additional layer will give you a better shine, better protection, and a longer life. So I decided to apply 4 coats in total. Is this excessive? Maybe. Was I happy with how it looked after my first coat? Oh yeah. Was my anal perfectionist behavior to blame? Kind of. So here I went about applying the second of my 4 coats of ceramic slam. Now you don't have to go with as many coats as I did, as there are diminishing returns here, but I suggest applying at least 2. How many you do is totally up to you, but if you do decide to layer, you must let each coat cure before applying the next. With ceramic slam, they advise waiting 6 to 8 hours before applying the next coat. So that's what I did. After waiting 7 hours from when I applied ceramic slam to my frame and wheels, I applied the next coat. The improvement you get after adding an additional coat is minimal, but you will see that the finish looks a bit shinier and brighter after each coat. And after all 4 coats were applied, this is a beautiful finish I got on the frame. Ridiculously glossy shine, mirror finish, and 0 scratches or swirl marks. It looks better than when I pulled the bike out of its box when I bought it. Here are side-by-side close-up shots of the frame before and after this treatment. While my frame was in good condition before I started, you can see that the detailing has removed all surface scratches and made the surface a bit more shiny. Lithium claims I should get 6 to 8 months out of this finish, and given I applied so many coats, that is totally feasible. Even with Meguiar's ceramic wax, I could easily get 3 months out of it, and that was just with a couple coats. After applying the last layer of your ceramic spray, you want to avoid getting your bike wet for at least 24 hours, as that's how long it takes to fully cure. Step number 4 is applying a drying agent, also known as a topper. You don't have to do this. Many people will be perfectly happy just having the protective ceramic coating applied to their bike. But if you're anal like me and you wash your bike a lot, you'll get added protection by using a topper. Some people will go with a standard wax coating, but I like using a drying agent. I'm using Lithium Ignite After Wash, which is still a silicon dioxide product, but it's formulated to be used after each washing. It'll help prevent water spots and residue, add additional gloss, and both condition and lubricate your bike as you dry it. It helps your drying cloth glide across the surface of your bike to prevent micro scratches from forming, which is the main reason I got swirl marks on my bike in the first place. So after you've finished washing and rinsing your bike, simply spray it all over your bike when it is still wet. You don't have to use too much here. Just make sure it's well covered. Wipe it off with a clean cloth and then buff it to a dry shine. Ignite takes 1 hour to fully cure, and the shine will get even better during this time. Again, you don't need to do this, but for me, I like the idea of adding a sacrificial layer to my bike, which I think will only extend the life of my ceramic coating. So that's my long and complicated process for caring for my bike. It is a hassle, but if you really want to protect the look and finish of your painted bike frame, all this extra work will really pay off. Anyway, if you've tried my method, let me know in the comments section how you made out. And if you did it another way, I'd really like to hear why you did it that way and what bike care products you were using. That's all I got for today, folks. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you're not a subscriber to this channel, please subscribe, as it allows me to produce more content for all of you. See you next time. Happy rolling.